we're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension, the world population, into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before, previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real, and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. The word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027, and we better be prepared. And if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. And so I think that dialogue has happened within, inside the government, in certain areas inside the government, that we need to prepare. And that's why in 2017, that set a clock of 10 years. And why Lou Elizondo earlier in this year said, just find a hobby for 5 years. Huh. And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening, and that there's limited time, a few more years, to prepare the people. And that's what's ramping up this acceleration from the previous 7 decades of not even acknowledging it to now we are acknowledging it.
Reading this past week an MIT review, they want to do is take out the neural functions. It's a human without feeling, without thinking, without ideas. It's just what MIT calls in this review a spare body, a spare tire, bodyoids.
MIT scientists want to grow human bodies dubbed bodyoids. Now, these bodyoids are physiologically identical to humans, yet scientists insist that they are not conscious and they can feel no pain. Scientists are stating that ethically sourced spare bodies could revolutionize medicine through things like organ donation. These bodyoids are not only intended to provide medical miracles, they can be used as meat for consumption.
All right, so here's the article. So MIT Technological Review, it's ethically sourced spare human bodies could revolutionize medicine. Human bodyoids. So remember that word. And here it says, recent advances in biotechnology now provides a pathway to produce living human bodies without the neural components that allow us to think, be aware, or feel pain. And then maybe one day we'll be able to create spare bodies.
Are bodyoids similar to body yachties?
If they could get these cordyceps to control this, I'm sure you can see some body yachties.
Check out what a World Economic Forum bioethicist has to say about what we should do about the fact that people eat meat.
Okay, so I'll give 2 examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And there's some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Listen to him tiptoe into that. The plan they have for humans in the next 15 years is horrifying, and it cannot be discussed. It's decades and decades, perhaps even centuries in the making.
Do you see a red can there? Some of you will, some won't. But there are no red pixels on your screen. If you do a screenshot and zoom in, you will get this. It is black and white and teal. But if you zoom back out, some of you will go right back to seeing a red Coca-Cola can. Psychologist Akiyoshi Katoka likes to post these on social media. Here's another one. Just to point out that you do not see color with your eyes, you see color with your brain. I have found that you can kind of break the illusion if you just hold an actual red object up to it. The red will seem to disappear. But take it away, and your brain will start to fill in red again. But as far as I can tell, no amount of squinting or distance will make this appear to be red because the context is lost. This one is probably the weirdest of all of them for me. There are, again, 0 red pixels on your screen right now. But this one actually stays kind of red for me even when zoomed in a little bit, especially if you pull your phone or your screen pretty far from your face. But get in close enough and it is just black and white and teal again. Exact same image. Every single thing you've seen in your entire life is a little bit of a lie.
Oh no. It is all kicking off right now among the Holy of Holies. Because as you know, the Vatican is currently gearing up to elect a new pope. But now, one convicted cardinal is demanding to be part of the conclave that chooses who it will be. This is Cardinal Giovanni Angelo Becciu, and not long ago, he was one of the most powerful figures in the Vatican. However, in 2023, Giovanni was convicted of embezzlement and fraud and was handed a 5.5-year prison sentence. In fact, he was the first ever cardinal to be convicted by the Vatican's criminal court. And on top of that, 3 years earlier, Pope Francis himself told Giovanni that he must resign all the rights and privileges of a cardinal. However, the reason he's currently not in jail is because he's launched an appeal, and apparently it's still under consideration, thus allowing him to continue living in an apartment in the Vatican. 2 years of consideration, huh? Anyway, despite this, Giovanni is now insisting that he does have the right to vote and be voted for. His argument as to why? Well, Pope Francis invited him to an official cardinal meeting in 2022, which he claims automatically reinstates his cardinal privileges. Oh, and just adding to the drama, 2 other cardinals previously found guilty of sexual abuse may also be attending pre-conclave discussions, although they are ineligible to vote due to age, not the other part.
Breaking news, there has been a massive power outage today, Monday, April 28th, across Spain, Portugal, and parts of southern France. This has left millions stranded with no electricity, no internet, no transportation, public transportation, no way to buy food or call for help, and it has people panic buying at the grocery store and stocking up on essentials in case this continues to last. This map here shows you the areas that are affected and have no power in red. And as you can see, major cities like Madrid, Barcelona, Porto, and Lisbon are all currently without power. Officials are reporting that the cause of this major power grid outage is due to a rare atmospheric phenomenon. I find the timing of this to be especially odd considering that Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, was ousted from his position just last week, a few days ago, and gave us this eerie warning last year.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole.
However this happened, I am hoping that it is resolved quickly so that the people in these areas can resume life as normal.
So apparently there was a lull or something in the Google Earth of not blocking out areas of Area 51 from Google Earth, and people were able to capture this image of this giant, tall, black triangle building. It's so creepy looking. Whoa. This is wild. So I was asking ChatGPT about it. I'm like, hey, were there pictures taken? Like, yeah, people were able to take pictures. So I asked to see the pictures. It said, I understand your interest in seeing an image of the taller triangle structure at Area 51. However, due to the highly classified nature of Area 51 and the restrictions on satellite imagery, there's no publicly available images of such structure below. Is that creepy looking though?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. What are your theories that what it could be? Because my thought, it looks like an air traffic control like center.
I mean, some people were calling it the, what do you call it? The obelisk.
Obelisk.
There is some weird ancient symbolism with it. Like all these major cities have an obelisk in them. And like, I think London has an obelisk erected that was actually from ancient Egypt. So they brought it over from ancient Egypt to London to erect it. And that just has like all this weird.
Do you think it has like any
stuff.
like religious significance?
I think so. To it, like occult kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scholars believe that obelisks represented eternity and immortality.
Creepy.
Perhaps you've heard of the 100th monkey experiment. Over a span of 30 years, scientists were researching a species of monkey called Macaca fuscata on an island in Japan. They were providing the monkeys with sweet potatoes by dropping them in the sand. The monkeys liked sweet potatoes, but they didn't like the sand and dirt so much. A few monkey children figured out that they could wash their sweet potatoes, and some of them taught the technique to their parents. Only a few of the adult monkeys did this though. This went on for some time, until one day, the monkeys who actually knew the technique hit critical mass. And bingo! The technique started spreading faster than it did before. Monkeys started learning it really easily across all of the Japanese islands nearby as well as on the mainland. They knew that there had to be something that wasn't yet understood about how a species is connected to itself. So what did we do? We tried it on humans. Our research team made a picture out of human faces. About 100 faces hidden within a single picture, but at first glance, you could only see about 6 or 7. They did several surveys with a few hundred people in Australia and said, alright, find the faces. Most people could only pick out 6, 7, 8, 9 or so, not many more. After that, the research team went to Britain and aired the picture on a closed-cable BBC special that was shown only in England. They showed where all of the faces were, every last one. Half of the research team, which stayed in Australia, did the experiment again with new subjects. And lo and behold, people were just naturally able to see more faces. After this experiment, they knew that something definitely connects us all, and the field of noetics is learning more about it daily. It's mass consciousness.
Meet Santiago, the small, strange mummy from Peru that's turning more heads than a UFO sighting in a NASA barbecue would. In all seriousness, he was found near the Nazca lines in Peru, tucked away in diatomaceous earth, preserved like a prehistoric time capsule. With 3 fingers, non-human proportions, and a skull that's, let's just say, not your average anatomy textbook size. Carbon dating puts him at over 1,000 years old. So, if this is a hoax, it's been in the works since, like, the Middle Ages. CT scans? Yes. Full skeleton? Organs intact. No wires, no duct tape, no suspicious seams. Furthermore, DNA tests? No match to any known human or animal species on Earth. Which is science speak for, we don't know what the heck this is. He was even presented to Congress in Mexico. Not exactly something that you would do with a papier-mâché art project. Now, whether this is proof of a lost species, ancient visitors, or something else entirely, well, that's up for debate. But it's hard to ignore.
Jesus Christ, guys, if you're worried about meteors hitting Earth, this one, hypothesis, is the one to seriously worry about. Seriously, listen to this, guys. Oh, crap.
For certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th, April 2029, will get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth. The communication satellites are geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. There is an interval range where if it threads that keyhole, we call it a keyhole. It's a 600 mile, about 600 mile, several hundred mile range. If its orbit goes through that range, Earth's gravity will be just right, or rather, just wrong, so that it will alter its orbit so that it will hit us 7 years later. It'll be visible from northern Europe. It'll look like just a fast-moving, bright object across the night sky. We know for certain.
So basically, if that does happen in 2036, so apparently it could, when it passes in 2036, the Earth's own magnetic field could potentially slightly change the trajectory of hypotheses. So when it next comes round 7 years after, boom.
There are still threats of legal things even these days about whether the ship that was so close to us was the Californian or not. I mean, I saw that ship terribly close. And the other thing I'm saying is that I didn't see a ship 19 miles away. I saw a ship that was so close, and they said at the time it was less than 9 miles away. Now they're trying to say it was 19. I saw it, you know, it wasn't just lights on the horizon, you could see it was a ship. And I saw our rockets being fired, which that ship must have seen. Well, this inquiry says that they did see it, but they didn't think it was a portent of danger, but I would have thought in the middle of the Atlantic, in the middle of the night, that rockets must be in trouble. I entirely agree with my dear Dr. Bellard's words.